Hey, what up, guys? So, coming to you this morning with my what's next on WBA featherweight super champion Leo Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz just main evented on February 16th. He main evented a Fox card when he took on unknown Rafael Rivera, scoring a convincing 12 round unanimous decision. For most people, this was an entertaining fight, and it was. Rivera was a game fighter, came at Santa Cruz. But for me, it was kind of a disappointment because of the opponent. Even before Rivera became the replacement opponent, he was going to be fighting another guy who would have been probably easier to beat and lesser known, I'm sorry, excuse me. And for me, Santa Cruz being the number one fighter at featherweight, he should never be taking on an opponent like Rafael Rivera. Even in between big fights, you should take on top 10, top 15 competition. Like I said, kind of the way Canelo does it, Canelo fights at least a name, even though he's going to beat that name in between the big fights. He still takes on a decent name or what looks like a formidable challenge like that Rocky Fielding. Nobody knew who Rocky Fielding was, and obviously he wasn't that very good of a fighter, but Canelo went up to 168, another weight class, to fight for a world title against the guy. So it's not like he just took on some absolute nothing to gain fight, And Canelo always does that stuff, And Santa Cruz has been number one for a couple years now at 126, which is featherweight. So, why does he fight these unknown guys in between the bigger? And then he takes so long off. It was 8 months since the Mares fight when he rematched Mares and beat him. I don't know why he takes off so long. I know his dad having cancer probably has something to do with it, and I definitely feel for that. But I just want to see Santa Cruz more active. He's a good veteran. He's been around a while now. He's a world champ. I want to see him more active now. He says he wants to fight 3 times this year. So what's next for Leo Santa Cruz? Well, he's got a lot of options, to be honest. Right now, I believe the top option for him is Carl Frampton, a third fight with former champ Carl Frampton. I think he's going to go after this fight instead of taking the risk of facing Gary Russell in a unification bout. Because I think he sees that as a big threat, and I don't think he's going to want to take on a guy like Russell right now. Russell's very good. He's called Russell's name, and Russell is still an option, so that's probably his second option right now if for some reason the Frampton fight can't be made. But I really think he's going to go after a Frampton third fight just to, get a third fight in a rubber match. Instead of, taking the risk against Russell. So kind of disappointing because I really wanted to see him and Russell. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think the unification with Russell is a real possibility. I think it could happen. I just think he's going to go after the bigger money fight in Carl Frampton in a third fight with him because that's going to make more money. It's going to bring more attention, and he'll be a formidable favorite going into that third fight. So, we just got to see what happens on those two things. Other outside options are fight with Josh Warrington to unify belts, but Warrington has a mandatory due next, which is probably going to be in April or May. So I just don't think the timetable is going to add up if Santa Cruz truly does want to fight 3 times this year, like I said. And then, possibly moving up and facing Gervonta Davis. I don't think he's doing that next, but I do think that could happen by the end of the year. I think he wants to get one big win, either a unifying belts or Carl Frampton, and then possibly move up because there's some young guys taking over 126 right now, and I don't think Santa Cruz wants anything to do with it. Brandon Figueroa, Tug Scott, Nayam Bayer are big names at 126 right now, like upcoming names, and right now those guys don't bring a lot of money to the table, and they're serious threats. I think Brandon Figueroa is on another level, and so is Nayam Bayer, So I like Santa Cruz still. I hope he, goes after the big fights. I would love to see him and Gary Russell, though, and him and Josh Warrington later in the year. But, we got to wait and see. So hopefully he surprises us and takes on Russell next and possibly in June. But I think it's more likely that what's next for Leo Santa Cruz is going to be Carl Frampton for a third time, even though Frampton's coming off of a loss in December. So we got to wait and see. But is what's next for Leo Santa Cruz, the WBA featherweight super champion. True Boxing.